Hello, everybody. Oh, Harold, are you gonna do this to me today, Harold? Oh my god, wait, I don't want to hear myself. Oh my god, that's awkward. Anyway, hello, everybody. Hi, Friday. Hi, May May. Hello. Diane, I feel like we've been over this. Diane. Hi, Marissa. Hi, Pizza Cat. Hi, Sarah. Hello. You read the book this time. Let's go. I have a sore on my pinky from playing party animals so much yesterday. Like, just a little sore. Cutting my front and back. Oh no, that doesn't sound very fun. Dionea. I'm gonna try my best to remember that. I literally have like a sore. I think we played party animals for like I played party animals for like 7 hours yesterday. And I dreamed about party animals. And I feel like I'll probably play again. I was supposed to do something after this today, and now I don't know if it's going to happen. And I'm very sad about it, but it'll be fine. I haven't read the book, but I'm here to listen. That works. I hope you can play party animals on Thursday, too, for those who don't know. Hey, hi, hello. I stream on Twitch right now 5 days a week. This is my last week streaming this week because I'm going to be out of town. I'm going to be traveling a bit. But this Thursday we're doing community night on Twitch where we play party animals together. If you have Steam, I can't remember. It's on Xbox and Steam, and you can download a party pass or a friend pass or something so you don't have to buy it, and we can invite you in. So I think I played close to, oh my gosh, 9 hours. Is that a new wig? It isn't. I've had it for a while. I actually got it when I did a Jordaline recommends me books video, because at the time Jordaline had, I want to say it was a wig, but it might have been hair that looked just like this. Remember to become a PlayStation? That would be nice. Anyway, it's a really fun game. Really good time. But that's not here what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about Dirty Heads. I know everyone was worried that I hadn't read the book, but I had read the book, okay? I've read it. I did it. I read the thing. Fits with the colors of the... It does a little bit. It fits with my stream. I don't know if I'm a bang girl. I don't know if bangs suit me that well. I want them to, but I don't know if they do. If it will come to Switch, I'm surprised that it hasn't come to Switch, but I think it's pretty, like, weirdly graphic intense for PC, which is why I don't think it would be able to play well on a Switch. I read it last night. I didn't read it last night. Weird that Allie had something to do at midnight before noon today. I didn't read it last night. I went to sleep like a totally normal person. Actually, I laid in bed. What did I do? I did Sudoku in bed last night. That's what I did. I didn't read it last night. Joke's on you all. I read it this morning. I finished it with this much time to spare. I played party animals. Yeah, I was like, well, the plan was I was gonna start it last weekend. I do tend to like to wait to read the book closer to the discussion time, but not normally this close. I do normally like to read it closer to, though. That's why I was 2 minutes late because I couldn't, chat wasn't loading. It couldn't find my stream. Live streaming on YouTube is a mess. It's a mess. But I did read it, and we're gonna start off the discussion with those who didn't read it, or those who started to read it, or those who would want to read it. How did you feel? Overall, just how did you feel about the book? Library book club, I usually finish it the day before the day. It's just easier to discuss. Like, everything's still fresh in your head. Here for the vibes, as you should be. So, won't read it. I'm here to listen. felt I either didn't get it or misunderstood it. I read it, really liked it. It's my favorite reread. But ended up liking it. I like some elements, but it's slow. Had some pacing issues. I like the ending. It's the middle of the road. I devoured this, which might be maybe the most appropriate word for this, actually. I devoured this. Absolutely. I also think it's probably my favorite that we've read so far. Because, one, I thought the writing was excellent. And that it seems to be a little uncommon in indie horror, and it's okay, that's fine. But I thought the writing was excellent. The ending, yes. Yeah. I also do agree that there were some pacing issues, and that it was a little convoluted at times. Yeah, devoured it like the monster devoured his dad! There was a plot twist with that I did not see coming at all. I was like, oh shit, oh shit! Yeah, and it can be hit and miss, but I was really surprised. And actually, I immediately went and looked to see what else Aaron Dries has done. Because now I'm like, I want to see how everything else works with this. Thought it was well done concept. Well, the moment I noticed that the chapters were counting down, I was like, oh, this is interesting. This is interesting. Okay. Could have just not been included, but overall enjoyed it. That was the first plot twist that got me in a while. Yes. I love books that are told backwards. My favorite mystery I wouldn't even say it's a thriller, but my favorite mystery of all time was Megan Miranda's All the Missing Girls is told backwards. And I fucking love it. I'm gonna say I'll watch a live letter. Oh my gosh! I'm so happy for your friends too. Tell your friends congratulations from us on the internet. We're so happy for them. Pats on the head for them. So, okay. I tend to go into most of these stories pretty much not knowing anything. Like, I've read, obviously, some part of the synopsis so that I pick them. I don't know. The glasses are doing a little too much glare for me this morning, I think. But I tend to pick them, you know, reading them, and then I immediately forget what the synopsis is. Kind of deal. And so I went into this and not really knowing. I knew it was queer, and I knew it was going to have some sort of, like, maybe alien type aspect to it. I do love. Nods like I prepared for this book report. Yeah, you're doing great, Sue. You're doing great. Can I add you as a mod from here? Hang on. No. Yeah, add as a moderator. Okay, let me see if I can actually do this today. I think I got it. Anyway. So, I thought it was one interesting that it was set in the 90s. And I do think that is actually, and obviously, this takes place in early 90s. Like, when this all begins, because he's like, what? He's pretty young, I think, when this starts. He's like middle school age, right? And so, like, 10 years go by into the year 2000, essentially. So this takes place in, like, early 90s. And I think that's perfect because that is right when everything's changing. I thought he was younger than 15 at the start of the story. Oh my god! Aaron! We love this. It's our favorite book club pick. Was my favorite book club pick so far. Just saying. But thank you so much. Thank you so much for writing it. What a good time. Yeah, 2090 plus 10. Yeah, you know what? Shut up. You shut your mouth, Theo. 1 to 24 is 22. We all know how this works. Great setting, 90s, yes. 90s Australia, because that is like the time of one, you know, we've come through the 80s of the AIDS epidemic. I am lucky that your song doesn't work here. I mean, you can still tell me to shut up, but I won't. So, we're coming through the AIDS epidemic. The times are turning. People are becoming much more open to queer identities. Middle school was like 14, 15. No, that's like graduating high school almost. How glad I didn't have to be queer in the 90s. I mean, it was the turning tides. And I think a big part of this story is about like the fear of change. Please go take care. Thank you so much for popping in. Oh my god, isn't that exciting, everybody? Isn't that exciting? Anyway. Dropped out at 16, was a sophomore. You know, that's fair. Maybe we're all just bad at math here. This isn't what we came here to do. We didn't come here to do math. We came here to talk about queer identity and horror. It's the turning point. And I think a big part of this book is about, like, the fear of change and accepting who you are. And not just accepting who you are, but how the people around you will interpret you and what that change might bring. So, a large part of this is clearly our main character is coming to terms with his sexuality. And we are seeing him like he's not struggling with it necessarily at first because he doesn't think that anything's wrong. But then everyone around him keeps pointing out that like this is like demonic, monstrous behavior. I mean, he's in a Catholic setting. His parents scoff at the AIDS things on TV. They change the songs in the car when they're a little, you know, a little bit more girly upbeat type deal. There's these norms and it's constantly being pictured as monstrous. So then we have this actual manifestation of this monster because at this point our character believes that he is this monster. And that it will devour his family. The idea is that, you know, it will devour his family in the idea of the fear. But of course, we get to see that actually manifest in that it devours his family. He has this fear that it will, and then it does. That's my freshman turned 15. Oh, okay. Well, you know what? Oh, grateful to grow up somewhat after the fear. Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. And I mean, it is interesting because there is that acknowledgement halfway through, or I guess even more halfway through, where he's like, there are worse things to be. And one of the worst things to be is homophobic. You know? Hi, Shay! But to me, it very much was, yeah, okay, let's stick with the fact that he's young. I didn't realize we were still worried about the fact that he's young. He's young, okay? And it's into the 2000s, and I do love the play on the fact that, like, there was that fear hitting the 2000s that, like, everything was gonna collapse. Society was gonna collapse. So, there's all that. I did love... So, there's a few different ways that I interpreted a monster, and I don't know how anyone else might have. One, of course, is the manifestation of the fact that, like, he thinks he is this monster and doesn't know how to deal with it, the fear of the change. But then we also, later on, when we get the plot twist of the fact that the dad is, like, a despicable being, right? Like, he is not a good person. And we get that, I think, with the tree symbolism. It's like the seed has been planted. And we see parts of the dad in him with the drawing of these things that he is, like, obsessed with these, like, weird erotic interpretations of things that his dad has also done that we didn't know up until this. So then the monster is also in a way a seed planted at that point. If that's the right word, the school bully cat, it calls him the F slur, and the religious school teachers say you can't call him that. That is the worst thing a person can be. Yeah. In that moment, that is when, I think that's also when he has more of the reckoning, though. Where he's like, I have seen so many I've seen so many bad things. Like, I thought I was the worst thing. And then, you know, I've walked by this boy's house as he's being abused. My dad has disappeared. I think my dad is having an affair. Like, I've now seen a bunch of these terrible things. My aunt is essentially, like, dying in front of me. Like, he's witnessing all these things, and in that moment, he's like, is it the worst thing that you can be? I mean, one of their teachers has gone to jail, which we, you know, to some degree think, as reputation is, that one of the priests has gone to jail for molesting children. So he's around all this, and at that point, he's like, is it the worst thing you can be? Yeah, physical violence meant nothing. Violence is weirdly normalized. Yeah, that was touched on a little bit. I wouldn't say not so much, though. I was nervous a few times that it was going to fall into some of the tropes of, like, queer boy struggling, enters a weird, abusive sexual relationship with his bully. We've all seen it. I don't know why this is a trope that we love to do. I don't really get it. Never once have I looked at my bully and been like, I want that mouth on mine. I want that mouth on mine. So I was nervous that we were going to fall into that, and I was glad that it didn't. Yeah, I hate that trope. It's such a weird trope. Like, I just don't really understand the point of it. Oh my gosh, have fun, Pizza Cat! I hope you win prizes! Everyone wish Pizza Cat good luck. Pizza Cat is entering, is it cross-stitching? Oh my god, I'm so bad at knowing what crafts are what. Pizza Cat is entering something in the state fair that isn't livestock. Cross-stitch, that's what I thought. I was like, is it cross-stitch? What else is that called? Anyway, get that embroidery prize. Let's go. We can't pay off the judges. I don't have any money. I quit my job yesterday. I don't have any money. And then instead of doing anything productive, I played Party Animals for 7 hours. Joke's on you. It's a livestock cross-stitch. Go find me a cow. Don't get a donkey. They live for 40 years. You have to put it in your will. It is productive. You know, I was just getting my skills going. Just getting it going. I'm gonna will it. No, my mother is already going to will a donkey to me. I don't need 2 of them. I don't need 2 donkeys in my life. I don't even need the first one. Okay, have fun. Good luck. I hope you win. I hope it's amazing. I don't remember what we were talking about, but I would love to know. Anyone? What is the first donkey's name? It doesn't have a name yet. It doesn't exist yet. Oh, the trope that I hate. Yeah, with the bully, which I'm glad it didn't fall into. Yes, but I think it is the two different ways that I feel like the monster could be interpreted. And I honestly, at first, I think it is supposed to be like this self-hatred monster has manifested. But then the more that we get into it with the plot twist, I do start to think that maybe it wasn't his manifestation, it was his father's manifestation in him. And not so much him. That when he devoured someone, he took on their thoughts and characteristics. Like when he devoured the cat and he clawed the wall. Yes. Yes. And then we get, you know, he gets to see their memories. And we don't really get to see it later on because we only see him in adulthood for a certain amount of time. But I wonder how many times over the years after that he gets glimpses of his family members' memories I think it is hinted at one point because he's like, you know, my mother didn't tell me that she loved me in that moment, but I know that. And I wonder if that is because later in life he has to recall these memories and he sees his mother in that moment before she is about to absolutely schwack him down. Schwack him down, and then, you know, if he gets to see what she's feeling in that moment. Yeah, I thought they were gonna kiss. I think at one point he says that he might have, but it wasn't like I don't know. It wasn't so much of a I am really sexually attracted to this person. It was more of like he is going through puberty that I'm not. Like I want to be him. 2, there's like some weird understanding. And 3, I think more of just like a testing it out, but it's not confirmed. He says he thinks that he did, but he doesn't even know. Didn't they all get eaten? Yes, which is weird because the mother knocks him out. Yeah, his mom wrecking him up, which makes me wonder, because he does black out, and his mom thinks it's because, you know, him and the monster are connected. She's really come to that connection quite quickly. She accepts this all very quickly. The tree in the room, all of this happening very quickly. She's accepting all of this. So she makes these connections. I ended up really enjoying her. She was messy. And I enjoyed her as this messy person. But does that mean that the monster didn't knock out? Because then the mother is dead. Which means that maybe him and the monster aren't quite as connected as we believe. Wonder why his mom schwacked him instead of, like, why does she think that would work? Because up to that point, he kept going, he kept trying to say, it's mine. Don't, like, it's mine. I think I can do something, like, it's mine. And she's just like, you know, in the moment. But then, in that exact moment, it takes on his face. And I think that's when she connects the two, that she's like, oh, he hasn't just been saying, like, you know, this is the, you know, the monster I see in my dreams or something. Like, this monster is connected to him in some way. Yeah, the tree in the room, she's like, this is happening. This is, I mean, when you're faced with something that's, like, literally in your face, what do you do? And I think this is one of the first ones where I've read where the parent is not, like, dismissive or gaslighting or, like, it's not happening. This is the first one I feel like I've read where the parent is like, this is happening. We're gonna do our best to figure out what's happening here, and we're gonna fix it. So she swacked him, it would kill the monster? Ooh, that's a good way of looking at it. I mean, I don't think we know if the mom at this moment. So when the monster is attacking him and his mom, when it is attacking the Spoons family here, this is after the mom has gone to the mistress. And at this point, we know the mistress has been murdered. So did the mom at this point know what her husband was? And again, then we come back to the seed being planted in the son, because at this point, she has seen the disturbing things that the son has done. I think she did too, in a way, which is why I think in that moment, maybe she did. Maybe she did look at the son and him as a monster. They're the low spoon entry. Every time they said spoons, all I could think about was like, no spoons day, low spoons day. They're all just low on spoons. Monster consumed the lemon tree outside, and that's why it grew inside. It is interesting, though, that it burrowed into, like, the weird house beside them. And I feel like that has to mean something, because whenever he's going into the homes and he goes into the other side where the monster is, like, growing and living, he's like, this house is a mirror of mine. Hi, Strange! So it makes me wonder, you know, there has to be something there that maybe I just am not quite adding up to. Like I said, there were some parts that were a little convoluted. Reading from the monster's point of view at times was like, I'm like, am I having a fever dream? Is this a fever dream? Is it supposed to be a fever dream? I had some trouble with totally interpreting the monster, but maybe that's the point, is that, like, this monster doesn't think like a human. It's not gonna have worms. It's not gonna have worms. It's not gonna have words like a human. It's gonna have these, like, jumbled thoughts. It's just coming into, like, this consciousness. It's just gonna talk about what it's feeling, kind of deal. I don't know if it helped me understand the monster anymore. Like, I don't know. He'll have worms if it eats them. I don't know if the monster point of view helped me better understand any other part of the story. Like, I don't know. I feel like it maybe added too much of a layer to it that I didn't quite need. I thought it enhanced the cosmic horror because either like that trope or I don't. Yes, this is one of the better ones. Yes, absolutely. I mean, we read the fish raining from the sky, and that, I think, was a little on the nose. Visit the room and watch the end of the world. Watch the sunset. Well, and we see, I think that moment there, I mean, we know that that is a moment of acceptance. I don't know if that's the moment that, because I think he accepts his sexuality long before that, at that point, which is why I do think it is more of the manifestation of the father's things instead of his. I think we're supposed to think that it is about, like, a queer coming of age scariness that this monster is, but I do think a lot of it is the father, and I think that is more of the acceptance of his, like, monstrous nature. He's ready for the world to burn because the world has not been good to him, essentially. Almost childlike, kind of, yes. Well, and you know, the monster has just been born, and it's attached to a child. So I wonder, and he's, you know, running from this acceptance for so long. He's just running and running from this monster. Never once do we see the monster never seems to show him it's going to attack him. I don't think the monster shows aggression towards him once. It's always the people around him. It's supposed to be like cosmic horror, and I think the monster is up to a lot. Yeah, it's up to a lot of interpretation. I just don't know if, like, that point of view did much for me in ways of the story. I think I could find it more confusing than really adding, like, a layer of anything for me. To be more of the father's creation, the son, because the world told him he was a monster, but something worse that represents the good is truly evil. Yeah. Yes. Oh, yes. Okay, that's a good way of putting it. I couldn't quite put it into those words. But yes. Took them. Yes, yes. I am also, like, more convinced that it is the father than anything. And we have that inherently what seemed like a good person. We have that flip of the coin. So up to this point, being queer is the bad evil, right? That's the bad evil, and therefore the monster must come from the bad. And then we have, like, the family side, you know, they literally represent I almost called it the radioactive family. They represent the radioactive family. They represent, like, the oh my god, what is that called? Why can't I think of it? I just want to keep calling it radioactive. They represent, like, mom, dad, boy, girl. They are nuclear. The nuclear family! Yeah, that's why they grow mushrooms in the basement. There are mushrooms, though, too. They represent the nuclear family, right? And we have the dad who's hardworking, the mom who makes them lunch, cares about them. And then we get that flip of the coin right as he accepts his sexuality as not that bad. We get the flip. So the good side of the coin is just him. It's him being him, right? But then we have the bad side of the coin is this supposed church-loving family that is the nuclear family where the dad is a monster in and of himself. He is evil. He is evil. Which is why I do think that the monster is more of the dad's creation. There was a part that I highlighted, and now I have to turn back on my e-reader, because it actually mentions something about that, where it talks about the good magic. Do we spoil the twist now? I thought we already did. Did we not? This family would have loved Hillsong Church. I feel so bad for the mother throughout this. So bad, because she's just trying to her darned hardest. Yeah, so the big plot twist, I guess for anyone who's just listening for the vibes, we have the nuclear family. He grows up. He's obsessed with, like, drawing monsters with penises. They find a porn magazine, excuse me, and he is obsessed with the man in it. But I do believe that, like, he's struggling with bisexuality, because we do see that he also is attracted to women to some degree. And so we get this monster, and we keep thinking it's all about, people will call him the F slur, and it seems to be about his queerness, and he's like, I think I'm different, I'm struggling with these thoughts, I had a wet dream, it was about a man, and things like that. And then we get near the end, when, like, right before this conclusion of this story is happening, the climax is happening, we find out not only had his dad been having an affair, which we had been finding glimpses of throughout, his dad had been having an affair. His dad was using his job basically as a cover, as like a delivery type man. He got close to this woman so that he could murder her. He has fantasies of murdering women. He draws, which our character draws, these grotesque things, but the dad was drawing monsters of a different kind, basically women being brutalized. His dad was, like, real into this, and when his dad came home for that day, he had left his lunch. And they're all like, oh, he's gonna come back, he'll get his lunch, whatever. He left his lunch because he wanted to come back, so he had an alibi at the time. Yeah. The dad was given BTK killer. That was my exact thing when he's talking about the work van and he's earning people's trust. I was like, oh my God. That was like, it's been a really long time since I feel like a plot twist has, like, really gotten to me, where I've been like, holy fuck. And the fact that he doesn't talk about his wife, right, as his wife. It's the woman that he smiles at, which is why she gets the pass. It's the one woman that he smiles at. That's the only reason she gets the pass. And I think to some degree we see that it's not quite the same, right? Our main character is having more of, like, this morbid curiosity, and maybe that would eventually grow into something. It was so chilling, right? The thought that it wasn't, like, his wife, it wasn't a person. Well, and then we do have the part where he does say, he thinks that loving his children will kill him. And I think part of that is that because he does love them, but he also just has this, like, murderous intentions in him. Yeah, he was rationalizing them, yeah. Also the shelf where he wasn't going to show his kids until later. He wasn't going to show his kids, he was going to show his son. He never promised to show anyone but his son. And that's why I think the mom didn't enter the study, but she knew that her husband was, like, you know, drawing. And she saw that drawing in her son, which is why I think in that moment, so she knew that her husband was a monster. And she was connecting all the ways that her son was similar to her husband in those ways. And that's why I think when she saw the monster, she saw her son in the she saw so much of him there. He wanted a partner for killing, wanted to be his son. I think also when you're in that, I wonder if part of it, like in that type of a brain frame, maybe it isn't so much that he wanted a partner for killing, but that he thought his son would be interested in that. Like in his brain, women are to be killed. It's not his wife. It's not the love of his life. It is the woman he smiles at. The rest of the time, he's like, oh, she's easy prey, you know, oh, this and that. He looks at women as objects. He wanted to share this because he thought his son would be interested in it. I do wonder, so looking at this cover, which was the big reason it drew me in, right? Clearly, we have the manifestation of, like, what the monster is going to be like, in a way. And it's coming out of him as if it is growing from him. Which I do feel like is actually a great representation of how this story seems like it goes. It's a monster growing with him. And what we think is from him, but possibly more from the roots of who he is. It's such a good cover, though. Like, one of the better covers that we've definitely had. Part of me wonders if the VHS, so, like, I don't think I ever knew. Yeah, the little angel wings. Our little innocent being in all of this. I did not realize that it was called Dirty Heads, like when the VHS tape was dirty. I didn't know that. And I know that to some degree is supposed to, like, you look at, he talks about how, what would the movie of my life be shelved under? And I wonder if his story was already dirty, right? It was dirty to begin with. He had no control over the fact that his family had sullied his story before it even began. And that unspooling that happens, you know, when he finds that mixtape. And the unspooling that happens is he's, like, trying to shove her under his bed. I feel like it's supposed to be that, like, dishevelment of that moment of, like, things are not going as they were planned to go. Read this book solely because of the cover. No one had been talking about it. I'm so glad it was a random find. Yes, I saw it recommended on Amazon because, you know, I'm always looking for horror novellas on Amazon. And I was like, oh, this looks interesting. And now I'm so interested to read more from Aaron. I remember VHS. I remember Blockbuster, walking through those aisles. I still have a VHS player and all of my Disney VHSs. It is interesting, though, the Be Kind Rewind. I do wonder how that plays into the story. Or if that's just, like, a silly play on words, you know, Be Kind Rewind. Is that, like, rewinding to the start? Is it because he returns to the start of where it all happened? kind of deal. Maybe I'm just thinking too far into like the symbolism of all that. Possibly. One moment. My mother is calling me, so I just want to make sure it's nothing crazy. Right, it is the start and the story is to— oh, true. True. Right to the start and the story is told— that's— yep. Good catch. Oh, good catch. Page 53. Good catch. I don't know why I was just thinking that, like, maybe I'm thinking too far. The wife is talking about he's got so many secrets. You can see it in his face. Yes. Was she calling me? Mostly. Pick up your phone. Pick up your phone. That's usually my name by most. Pick up your phone. Okay, I'm trying to open the Kindle app, but apparently— okay, let me go through my highlighted parts. Go to my annotations. I'm gonna read you all. I should start reading you all my favorite annotations from the— I take all annotations when we do these. She thinks it's about the affair. Oh yeah, but we know— well, I don't think we know at that point that it's worse. Like, I think at that point, we also only know about— why can't I turn the light up on this? Hello? How do I turn the light? I don't know how to work. I don't know how to work anything, everybody. Okay, well, go back. We're gonna be kind, rewind. Oh, this was another thing. Just society. At the very beginning, we know how people treat those who are homeless. The homeless, it's easier for people to think of us as a mass, a horde, than someone's kid. And I do think that that is also kind of a nod towards the abandonment of how people would be with those who they would find out were queer, and how people still do when they find out people are queer, how they abandon them, and they no longer think of them as their child or as, you know, a family member or as a friend. They're now something other, right, to people. And I do think that that was also like an allude to, you know, that acceptance sometimes is very othering from people. But also just society is kind of fucked up. Absolutely fucked up. And I think that too is another reason at the end where he like kind of accepts the monster as it is, because there's so many other monstrous things in the world. Homeless characters, the last one I can think of is The Worm and His Kings, which is also queer cosmic horror. That's on my list. I think the audiobook is on Everant. That was so profound. That's like the opening line too. The opening line. Disgust or sexual word, yeah. Hang on, let me see if I can find this part. We were warned in school about taking drugs, how one pill or puff could knock you down the slippery slope to crime. If only it had been that benign with me. My story doesn't matter. We're all the same to people like the mall cop. Losers who must have brought this upon themselves. Losers who must have brought this upon themselves. Like, how true is that of society to look at people who are down on their luck and they don't go, gee, I wonder how they got there. Their immediate thought is they did this to themselves to some degree. Not how did the world do this? Homeless people are like ghosts that often people walk through. I'd forgotten how it felt to be seen, being given money without having to coerce it or being demanded sex in return made me feel human. Yeah, how the world has failed them. Also, all our worth was measured in what we didn't have, not in what we had. Which, I mean, what a fucking sentence for a capitalistic society. Yeah, the Salvation Army who actually saw him. The goodness in the world. That one spark of hope, which he talks about, you know, hope. That moment of hope. It's a dangerous thing. It's an enlightening thing. Oh, I forgot about the fact that his dad just casually uses like a slur all the time to talk about things. Like his dad would just use a slur for queer people. I think specifically gay men. I'm not super familiar with the slur that was used, but and how they basically talked about like you can't use the public restrooms because you know, that was a thing in the day. You couldn't use public restrooms because you might get AIDS. Y'all gonna think about how you perceive others in your place in society today. You are the opening line of that, I was like, oh fuck, we are not messing around. We are not messing around. I do wish that like, I don't know, that call out almost. I wish that would have happened more times throughout the story. We get it so strongly in the beginning, and I wish we would have gotten it more, maybe in the middle or even the end. I feel like we do get a little bit in the middle, but like not as direct. But definitely in the end, like especially when the world is like collapsing. Aaron is a writer. Absolutely. I was very impressed when I started this. I was like, oh, this is good. And I feel like that's a bad thing to say, but like the writing in and of itself is just so good. I failed to pick up a lot of the metaphors and was confused a lot. That's what I was saying, that like there are some parts that feel very convoluted. And I read a lot of satirical books. And they can oftentimes be pretty convoluted in that. And sometimes you will get something. Sometimes you have to have someone else explain it to you. Tree thing, I was like, why is there a tree? But you pointed out a seed planting. Yeah, like sometimes it's like, I don't know if it comes from also, I have a degree in English and analyzing literature. So like, there's going to be things that I am probably going to overthink that mean nothing. Sometimes the white curtains are simply just white. Read one about squirrels attacking a woman, so that's kind of the vibe. Oh yes, yeah. We've been sifting through a lot of Kindle Unlimited, as we know. We have read at least one really bad Kindle Unlimited book so far. A gem is a gem, indeed. This one was fantastic in terms of a good, this was the gem in the rough, I guess, so to say. The needle in the haystack. Such a good find. I did love the line, you realize that you made mixtapes for others, but deep down, you just made them for yourself. How true? Anyone who's ever made a mixtape or mix CD or a playlist for someone, how true is it? Like, yes, you're making it for them, but it's because you want them to see you. And then it's funny because that's what he does. He makes his playlist for his friend's sister. Part of me wonders if, like, he knew then that she was going to be very loving and understanding. But then he is outraged when she sees him for who he is. He's like, how dare she comprehend who I am as a person after I put my heart and soul into this so that she would notice me. Just, it is interesting that the various women in his life do their best to love him. Typical teenager reaction. How dare you know that I feel this way? Let's see. It is interesting because I know the monster does say, you know, the house of the boy who gifted me my architect with his desires. I mean, clearly we know that the monster is the one that he drew in the basement. But we also know that the real monster is also in the home. Bless his little heart. He made her feel it, and then he blamed her for it, right? Oh, it is interesting reading back, because the first time we learn about the dad's affair and the son is, like, feeling his father's emotions, his father felt no guilt. It's pointed out then. I don't think it's pointed out later when we actually know what happened, but the first time we learned about it, it says the father felt no guilt. I listened to your tape. I think you might be gay. I'm just, like, imagining someone coming up to you with their mixtape and being like, hey, I read your tape. I listened to your tape. You might be gay. I'm just like, what was on it? Now I need the list. What was on it? Give me the list. Oh, I love it. Oh, there was the one part, too, where I don't know if anyone else has had. I have a very deep anxiety that comes specifically at night. At, like, in my room at night, like, going to sleep. And I don't think I've ever seen it written as plainly as it was written here with the, you know, turning on the bedside lamp, but I can't. The stream is not also live on Twitch. It's not. Switch on the bedside lamp, said my brain. But you can't, can you? You're frozen. And you're telling your brain over and over that everything is fine. Everything is, like, it's good, but you can't do anything about it. That is what I have lived with for years. Like, basically my whole life. And I was like, I have never seen it. Like, this written so plainly like this. No empathy, just letting thoughts out. They usually mean well. Yeah, I mean, there's still... It's hard when you're a teenager as well, because you're trying to learn, like, the social constructs of the world in a very small environment, essentially, where everyone else is also trying to figure it out. And you only know so much from, like, where you've come from and the neighborhoods that you come from and the people that you know. And then you're going into a whole new world where things aren't quite the same. They don't align all the time. And a lot of times they're just throwing things out to see how it sticks. How does it make them feel? How does it make other people feel? How does that feeling affect them? Like, it's such a... It's so annoying being a teen, right? How annoying. Oh, let's see. I'm trying to see what else. Oh, yeah, okay, here we go. Bravery grows in the dark, weak spots. Of course, bravery would spring from there, from your most vulnerable and truest parts. So this is a part where I think he is, like, accepting more of who he is. Fragments that came together when nature required it most. When you had it to either fly or fight. There was a sort of magic to that, I thought. Magic which turned to strength. If you let it... If you let it. Good magic from good people. And I think that was the turn of that coin that I talked about with, like, we think that, you know, being queer is bad with the, you know, nuclear family, and that's the flip of the coin right there, that I think the acceptance of who he is and then realizing that, like, he's good people. There are bad people, and they make They are the bad magic in the world. Oh no. I really like the story. He just likes the pee-pee, and that's fine. Yeah, he's good people. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you like. Just as long as you don't strangle them to death and not feel guilty about it. Just don't do that. I don't know. I really like this story. I started to read through a few of the reviews, and it has such an interesting mix of reviews from people. Yeah, the more I thought about it, like the more I sit, this is one of those books that like you finish it and you think about it and you think about it and you think about it. And it's one of those ones where I feel like I'm going to reference like later as I read other things that like have similar aspects to it. I feel like this is going to be one that I will reference to. I was too confused. That makes sense. Yeah, there was a lot of people who were like doing too much. Confused. I have really mixed feelings. Someone talked about how it felt very adolescent. Hi, Keisha. Said that the allegories didn't quite land as much. Someone else said they couldn't get into it, which blows my mind because those first opening pages are so good. Coming of age horror, it really does. It really does. Because, like, coming of age is horrific. Hi, Spasia. Hi, Tyler. Know what it was, though? Listen, I will always find a way to have a good discussion about a book. My thumbnail changed and shows the wrong one? What? It's fine on my side. This has been at least my favorite book so far. Am I like not looking at the No, I'm looking at the right one. This is what it shows for me. You see the one? What the heck? That's weird. Okay, well that's the one that it shows for me. So, great. I guess I'll just have to go through and change that after the fact. I fucking hate YouTube. I fucking hate YouTube Live. It's a fucking mess. It's so fucking annoying. Anyway. Yeah, I thought it was great. Someone said this was cute. This was cute? No, I believe you guys. I just don't know why it did that. Did it, like, create a whole new one? Did you all... No, because you all also were here before it started. Heath was cute, but, like, in a... Oh my god, you poor baby, like, I just want you to know that you are so... Like, I love you. I love you so much. Someone said, Aaron Dries explores the most uncomfortable feelings when you're about to come out and combine that element of our imagine worst case scenario by really unfolding nightmare and dirty heads. It's fantastic. Someone else said, this book was not good. It was way too heavy-handed. The horror was fine. It wasn't particularly scary because you could predict everything. These are the most unrealistic teens I've ever read. Maybe because he's Australian. What does that mean? Are Australian teens different? Do they grow differently? Oh no! They're Australian! How dare! The fact he uses institutionalized homophobia? A different species, the Australian. Here we see the Australian teen in its natural habitat, the outback, wrestling a kangaroo and a giant spider all in one go. They go through puberty completely upside down. Daddy isn't here to tell me otherwise. This is crazy. Oh, also when he's like men, women, people who don't fit into either or whatever. Woo, diversity. Okay, maybe... okay, maybe this person is just not that good of a person as well. Okay. Someone said I just couldn't grasp what was going on. Oh. Genuinely stunning. That's a bit how I feel. Just one of those books where you are shook to the core but can't stop reading. So good. They only gave it a 4-star. Some people just slant... right, that person is the dad. It's certainly a choice. Interesting. Someone else was like, what? This person said these things don't serve a purpose in the story. The dad being a murderer. The teenager struggling with his sexuality. Having a bully. Why is he homeless? Why is the story in a flashback? They basically just said the story didn't have the whole story didn't have a purpose. It's almost like that's the whole point. I didn't mean to come on here and diss people's reviews. I just mostly find this funny because I just loved the way that everyone else can interpret stories. And I just so deeply, like, they're the people that I want to have a conversation with. I want this to be a thing every time. I do think it makes for a good discussion piece because then... did they read it or did they skim it? Was the monster real? Problem is that the metaphor is weak. There aren't enough connections to the monster. We found like 6. At least. They want to believe the monster doesn't exist, so then they can pretend the carnage didn't exist. It's a horror book! I thought it was closer because I distinctly remember where I read it and how fast I threw. Oh my gosh. So it stuck with you pretty well then. Yeah, his sister only pretends to rip herself in half. His aunt only pretends to be, like, absolutely devoured in midair. Yeah. His cat just disappears just because it's a cat. There was something about this book that felt a little understated to me. It wasn't as freaked out as I thought it would be. I think people... I've talked about this before, but I think people don't understand horror as a genre. They only see horror in one way, and that way is how is something horrific to them. But horror is an extremely wide genre, and it is very personal. The things that you find horrific and that you find horrifying. There are some people who are, like, thrilled by something. There are some people who are not. And just because something is not necessarily horrific to you does not mean that it doesn't qualify as horror. The amount of people that have been like, that book didn't scare me, it's not horror. And it's like, just because it didn't do it for you doesn't dismiss the fact that it is still horror at the end of the day. Like, that is the genre that it falls under. Just because it isn't for you doesn't mean that it is not. It's like when people try to dismiss, like, just because something doesn't have sex in it, it's not romance, but that's, like, also not how that works. Horror doesn't mean scary. Horror means tackle the topics that are currently in the present society being pulled to the forefront to confront humanity. It's also, it's not always scary. It is about that, like, making the reader look in on themselves a lot of the times. It's the nitty-gritty, gross parts of humanity. No matter how big or small those are. And sometimes that's gore, and sometimes it's not at all. Sometimes it's, you know, societal issues. Sometimes it is, you know, the raw guts and gore of things. Sometimes it can be a very simple topic being discussed. But does it make the reader really look in on themselves? Look at society, look at the people around them, and question their beliefs, question, you know, different things, that the darker parts of them, perhaps? Like, there's so many aspects of it. Welcome to Who Reviews It Anyway? The points are made up and the reading comprehension doesn't matter. It's horror sci-fi, but not because it's scary, but because human sucks can do horrifying things. Yeah. Like, Goosebumps are a spooky comedy. I want people to stop putting horror in boxes. I think the problem is horror is a very... It's similar to romance for me, and I've also talked about this before, where people only look at it one way, and oftentimes it is also shunned by most, you know, normal readers. Especially, like, erotic horror. That's why so many of them are on, like, Kindle Unlimited, because most people don't seek them out because there's such little understanding of them, or there's such little appreciation for them. And only, like, certain not real readers will read them. They're actually handled very similarly in the publishing industry. Yeah, people are scared to be scared. No, people are afraid to confront themselves most of the time. They don't want to be called out. I feel like that person that said that they couldn't get through the first part of this book, it's probably because they saw too much of themselves in it. That's probably how they view homeless people, or how they view queer people. And they said, this isn't horror, this is just my day-to-day life, you know? They didn't want to look at themselves and go, why is this horror? Someone else could have done with more space. I really enjoyed it, even though I'm not totally sure I understand it. That's a great review. I love that. I did feel the end could have been... I do think the pacing in the middle was slower, and then the end was rushed, and I feel like we could have balanced that out, and that's probably my only big critique about it all. Yeah, I don't know if they mean, like, more space to tell the story, or if, like, more actual space. I don't know what we mean there. I don't know. I'm very interested to see more of what Aaron Dries has written and what they will continue to write. I'm definitely going to be reading more. Character didn't go to the moon, 1 star. Fish did not fall from the sky, 1 star. I think so far, if we are looking at... Oh, where is it? If we look at the story graph thing, no fish rain. Right now, I think I would put Dirty Heads first in the ranking so far. Oh man, I had such a fun time with discussing They Were Here With Us and Heavy Oceans. I kind of want to put Heavy Oceans above They Were Here Before Us, but I had a really fun time, and Them is going to be at the bottom no matter what comes next, I feel like. Forever. Well, I feel like maybe at the end, after maybe in December, we'll do, like, everyone votes. And then we'll have a board of, like, based on how everyone else votes. Like, the most popular votes will be first and, you know, all that. Anyway, I think I'm gonna give it at least a 4.5. Maybe once I sit on it, I'll even give it higher, but I think a 4.5 is, like, good shit. Heavy Rains. Heavy Oceans, Heavy Rains. Before Us, Dirty Heads, and then Them. Well, anything is better than Them, honestly. Anything. Our next book is Mousetrap. And I also have, where do I have this? On the chatting screen, book club. Don't I have another thing for book club? I thought I did. Apparently I don't. Anyway, our next one for book club is called Mousetrap. This is not the normal cover, but I love this cover over the cover that we are reading. This one I don't believe. I think this one is more, maybe psychological more than anything. It doesn't seem to have very many trigger warnings. I think it will be a different pace from some of these ones that we've read. Maybe. I'm hoping to get some people who couldn't quite read the things that we've read before because of, like, gore, content, and whatnot, giving them something possibly to read and join us with. So we're going to read Mousetrap, and we're going to do the discussion on, oh my god, it's normally the second Sunday, September 8th at noon, EST, again. And that's that. And of course, if you want to join, I made it it's technically a reading challenge. I have the link in the description, a reading challenge on Storygraph. If you want to see, we have the next 4 months. We're reading Mousetrap, then we're reading Tastes Like Candy, then we're going to read Midnight, a novel of terror. And then in November, we are going to read When I Look at the Sky, All I See Are Stars. Which is a long one. Has an interesting title as well. So, just download it. Let's go! Alright, but that's all for the book discussion. If anyone has any last words... that sounded dark. Anyone have any last words for book discussion? If anyone has any parting words for this? Anything that you felt? I'm gonna have to figure out why on earth the thumbnail decided to change. I don't know. You're sending the okay, thanks. I appreciate it. I think Mariah sent me one as well. This is great. I feel like we always have a good discussion. Sometimes I come to these a little panicky, like, what are we going to talk? What am I going to talk about? But I feel like we never run out of things to talk about. Oh, what songs do you think are on the mixtape? I would love to try to come up with what we think was on the mixtape. Maybe we can do that in the Discord discussion area. I think Mousetrap is going to be really good as well. I really hope so. I don't want to say that I have high hopes after this, but I really am excited for it. I know, I'm excited to see if any others come close. This was such a good find. I think you might be gay playlist, yeah. I listened to your mixtape and I think you might be gay. That's the playlist. Me running out of things to talk about? Can't relate. Alright, friends. Thank you so much for joining me. Hopefully I'll have some booktube videos coming very soon since I'm starting basically today. I'm gonna be a full-time content creator. I'm hoping to get some videos out very soon and get into the schedule, the groove of all of that. If you want to catch me live this week, I will be doing productivity sprints tomorrow on Twitch. 4 p.m. EST is when I start there. You can find the link down below as well. And I will see you guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for joining me. I love this discussion. It was such a good one. I'm glad that we all had fun. All right, everybody. Goodbye. Have a good time zone.